ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between.
He's your favorite Mexican-American Gemini from South Texas. It's Chibbi.
And she's the lipstick-loving Salvadorican from Brooklyn, New York. It's Raqui.
And this is Words and Shit,
the show where you get to know the person behind the poetry.
Brought to you by Write Art Out.
Well, hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Oh. But hey, I feel like we're matching. We're kind of matching today.
I'm living for this a little bit. We've got this little, vibe going. I could have thrown on a little black something on top.
I feel like, we should do this often. Be like, oh, we're just gonna 2 different cities, 2 different houses, but we're gonna look the cute and like wear the same color palette.
We're a unit. We're an absolute unit. Yes, this was completely unplanned, people. But welcome to another episode of Words and Shit. So excited to be here. I'll be honest, because you asked, like, how are you doing? I'm trying to look cute because this morning I was not feeling cute because last night the turn up was real. Okay.
Ooh, yes. But a good turn up or like a bad turn up?
Oh no, great turn up. Great turn up. It was our first time here in San Antonio hosting a live in-person open mic event. Write Art Out puts on the Blah Poetry Spot. And so this was our first time coming back in over a year. And it was not a light decision. There was a lot that went into, like making the decision to come back live. There was a lot that went into the planning to make sure that like people felt comfortable, that we were still being safe and all of that fun stuff. In any case, it was a phenomenal night. But there was a lot that went into like making the decision to be like, okay, live, let's do it, let's go, right?
Yeah, I know. It's I wasn't there because I'm in New York, but I definitely wish that I was. And so giving like social distance hugs and really welcoming y'all back. I know from my experience, Blah has always been such a big, huge community in San Antonio for me. And I know other poets or people who enjoy poetry, right? So I know how much like you reopening, even though it was not a light decision, meant so much to so many people. Like I saw photos of people just so happy to be social, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and like if we're being honest, like every moment in our lives is a decision. Right. But definitely some decisions are carry more weight than others and affect us and the people around us in different ways. So like I've been ruminating on that just a little bit, if I can ruminate. And so like I'm curious. What has been, like let's talk about hard decisions. That was a prompt recently. What was one of the hardest decisions you ever had to make, Raqui?
Yeah, of course. I think one of the hardest decisions for me so far in my adult life has the obviously my move to New York, right? Leaving my community, leaving my family behind. It was a very hard decision, not one that was light at all, and has been, had been heavy on my heart for the past couple of years. And I think just recently, I'm starting to really embrace what New York has given me and where I feel. Because it's hard. Like I for people who know me, I've definitely cried and been, thinking about, was this the right decision? I'm so alone and I miss everyone, and was this selfish? But people always tell me like the hardest decisions are probably the bravest ones. So, how about you?
Even though we all know that San Antonio still owns your heart, New York is awesome and all, but yeah. For me, okay, so I was laid off from my job a few years ago, which kind of broke me. Let's be real, because like it had been what I did for so long, and it was something that I loved, absolutely loved. So it wasn't like a corporate job that I was like, oh, I'm fucking working this corporate job. Like, sure, it had its whatevers, but it was still like something I loved to do. And in that moment of like, well, what the fuck do I do now? I made the decision to just pivot and just focus solely on performing and poetry as a way of sustaining me and my husband and our lives, and trying to make that work as a working artist. And yeah, like you said, like sometimes the hardest decisions are the biggest ones. Like it was like so much uncertainty that went into it, but like when you make a huge decision, like moving to New York for you, or like deciding that you're just going to be a full-time poet, you just have to go all in that direction, right? So I planned a tour. I got to see this country. Poetry paid for me to go to Hawaii. Like so many good things have come from this decision to just like balls to the wall. We're going in this direction, which isn't to say that it hasn't been a struggle, but like it's one of those things where I'm very grateful that I was forced to make that decision. And the decision that I took, right? Because there's so many blessings that have come from it,
It really is, and especially those decisions when you're like, you feel like you're like they're forced on you. You're like, oh, I don't want to do it. Like, was this? It makes you so nervous. They really are. They really are. And I've seen you really flourish and become a really great poet. Like you were already an amazing host and poet in general, but I know that you've challenged yourself in these uncertain times, and even before the pandemic, right? Traveling and making it happen. And I've been very proud of you, friend. So I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I'm just a little baby in this game. He just started over here. Our guest today has been killing it in this game, made some very tough decisions, and like took poetry decided like this is it and drove it in that direction. And years later, I dare to say was probably the best decision that he ever made. So I'm excited to get into this conversation with our guest tonight. Buddy Wakefield is going to be on tonight. He is an actor, writer, producer, and 3-time world champion spoken word artist, and has been featured on the BBC, HBO's Def Poetry Jam, ABC Radio National, and has been signed to both Sage Francis's Strange Famous Records, as well as Annie DiFranco's Righteous Babe Records. Buddy has been a busker in Amsterdam, a street vendor in Spain, a team leader in Singapore, a redelivery boy, whatever that means, a candy maker, a street sweeper, a bartender, a maid, a construction worker, a bull rider, and notably a notably slow triathlete and a facilitator at Quantum Learning Network, and is the most toured performance poet in history. His short film Farmly just won Best of Texas at the Literally Short Film Fest and the USA Film Festival, and his latest book, A Choir of Honest Killers, was released in 2019 with Right Bloody Publishing. Y'all know what to do with the comments section. Y'all know what to do with the comments section, but please show some love for our guest tonight, the one and only Buddy Wakefield.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
How are you?
Great. What a bio. What a bio.
And that's the Cliff Notes version.
It's a lot of shit talking.
Oh, man. But you've lived such a great and interesting life. But before we go into all about you and this interview, I like to ask like the poets, how's your heart doing? How's your heart doing today, this week, this year? It could be in the future. How's your heart doing, friend?
Hey, can I just tell you, no one's ever asked me that before. And I actually used to do that for years. You're the first person who's ever done it. Not back, but just done it. And I've never been put in the position to have to answer that before. Before I tell you how my heart's doing, because the initial reaction is warm just because of putting some love on Chibbi and all that he's been doing in the community, because it's showing up. And I don't think that can just be rolled over. And I'm not just sucking up to the host. I get to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff and the Apple Good Writers stuff, hosting stuff in Houston and the Instagram stuff. And Chibbi's out there. You're doing your thing, dude, and it's working, and people are loving it.
I'm doing what I can. I'm just trying to get to your level.
No, you don't want to. There's more to attack.
I love that. But yeah, how is your heart?
My heart is. I moved to Porto, Portugal. And my heart feels like I'm living with a gentleman. The city is a gentleman, and I feel like I am being. I think I'm in the midst of one of the more devastating periods in my life. Portugal was already in the works. It wasn't like I did a geographical relocation just because of some devastating shit. Like, it was already in the works. And then I got here, and it's a mixed bag. I'm in love with this country, and and then I'm just shedding all the stuff. Like, the first half of my life basically just said, fuck off. It's not working. It's not gonna work like this. Stop trying. Just fuck off. Just go learn how to rest. Just please read the first book in 2 years. So right now, I think I'm just coming out of a crazy spin. And, is that not a reflection of the collective consciousness anyways? I mean, we're all going through it. We've all got a list of shit going on. I'm certainly not the only one. And I think everybody's just kind of excited to seize this day as it moves into the next chapter, or stay in the holding pattern of whatever habits you just picked up over the last year and a half. And I'm ready to see the day into the next chapter.
So good.
I really like that, because it is a holding pattern that we sometimes self-impose on ourselves, right? That was redundant as fuck. But yes, we self-impose these patterns on ourselves, and we feel like we can't kind of just like break free from that. And I think that comes to like kind of what we were talking about at the beginning, where it's like you just have to make these hard decisions and just like go, just fucking go in that direction.
And I've also been making, I heard my whole life about these things called boundaries, and I just thought, what a great idea. It turns out, even in my 40s, I wasn't really setting them very well. And so now I've got these sturdy boundaries, and they work. and they're helping in all this too. Yeah. So, yeah.
What a revolutionary concept.
I know. Let you know, it's never too late to start boundaries, right? Never.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. Well, we're excited to have you on here. We appreciate you're in Portugal. It's like almost 2 a.m. over there. We appreciate you being with us. Before we dive into the poetry, we like, in case the audience doesn't know you, we like to always start off with a quick fire segment that we like to call speed dating. So we're going to ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
Feel free to answer them as in-depthly or as concisely as you feel is necessary.
So excited. I've never speed dated before, and I've always wanted.
So here we go. Here we go. First question. You've lived all over the place. All right. Where do you consider home?
Porto, Portugal.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. I was making a joke when we wrote this. I'll be like, it's going to be Texas. We're going to say it's Texas. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to defend it. You're like, just stick with Portugal. It's okay.
There we go.
If you had said, where are you from, of all the places, I would have said Texas.
But no, home is where you're at now. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm keeping it brief as I can because I'm so excited about all my date questions.
All right. Okay, so we got our second one. So what song would describe your life, or what song would be your life's theme music?
Okay, can I say a couple?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, if we have to go off the top of the dome, this is no, just own it. The Highwayman. The Highwayman by the Highwaymen.
Don't know that.
That I don't know the song, but the title says it all, and I'm like, yes.
Can I tell you who's in the band?
Yeah, go.
Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and Chris Christopherson.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a lot of
That's
raked up motherfuckers. And they had a song when I was a kid called The Highwayman. And not just for nostalgia, but for
it's very appropriate.
Yeah, there's so many great songs. I mean, There's a song called Monsters by Band of Horses. There's the entire album Chocolate and Cheese by Ween. There's 9 Inch Nails' Pretty Hate Machine. There's there's so many soundtracks. There's so many lives. I wrote fucking Bulls in the Rodeo at one point, and now I'm a poet for there's just so many lives that have happened along the way.
Yeah.
I'm just like laughing at Chibbi, and I are just like, we're just nodding and smiling and like, yes, we will look these up. Well, I will.
I know some of them. Okay, I know some of them.
I have white hair on my face. There's no way you're trusting these answers.
Look, it's just off the dome. Whatever comes first, right? All right. Next question then. What is your favorite food dish?
Is that a real thing?
Yeah. What's your favorite dish? Not like plate, not your favorite plate, but your favorite dish to eat. Right
now, it's patinga.
What is patinga?
Yeah.
In Portugal, it's like a bunch of fucking. I think they seem to be a bit larger than sardines. And then this is not going to sound good. My song doesn't sound. I'm not getting a date. Hold on. Patinga. It's these lightly battered fried fat sardines, basically seasoned, and I'm actually salivating. And I know this doesn't sound good at all. Because I'm here with you. I know the words that just came out of my mouth do not sound all that appetizing, but they're delicious here.
Look. It's the same. It's the same thing as if somebody from over here tried to describe crawfish to someone over there. They'd be like, "What the? They live in mud, and you got to pull out the poop chute? And how is that good? It's fucking.
You don't have to pull out the poop though.
You don't have to, but people still do. So I'll trust you. I'll trust you on that. I will trust you on patinga on my list.
Patinga.
I wish you hadn't said crawfish. Crawfish broil sounds so good right now. Even at 2 a.m, y'all.
They're in season.
I'm not going to get that here. You know what else you don't get here? Root beer or ranch with your pizza. Fucked up.
Ooh,
I said root beer the first time, and it was like an ordeal. Like they were asking people back in the kitchen. I was like, no, don't draw attention to me.
That is hilarious. Though I do have some reservations with ranch on my pizza, but you know what? To each your own. Own.
Okay.
All right. So this is the last question. Okay. So obviously, we read your bio. You've lived such an interesting life. So if you had your own biopic, who would you cast as yourself?
Okay. You know who I'm going to kick in the dick is anybody that says John Malkovich. Is that one of the questions? Who would I cast? I think I would go in my biopic. This doesn't have to be who looks like me, does it? It kind of does. Do we have to do John Malkovich?
It's you.
Yeah. It'd be like a cross between Bruce Willis and Charlie Brown or something.
It could definitely be you, whoever.
Okay.
I can see Bruce Willis.
I take these questions so seriously, and now we're going to be here for an hour just as I edit thoughts in my head to try and give you the best possible answer. I was diagnosed OCPD. The detail orientation is precise, and I can't just give you do you know how awful I'm already feeling about Patinga and Highwayman? This is going to keep me up for days.
No, the Highwayman is fine. After you described it, I was like, oh.
I would cast a basset hound. That's my answer.
There are no wrong answers here, okay? You just won at speed dating. Let's put it that way. You won.
Can I pick who I'm dating now?
Yeah.
It's not going to be Brett who said John Malka.
I'm not looking at the chat, but I just saw the name pop up, and That's Brett. Yeah, I know Brett J. McCabe. He's a comedian in Los Angeles making fun of me right now.
All of our best friends do, really. All right. Well, that was just that. That was just a quick little, dip in the toes of the conversation that we are so excited to dive into. But at this point, we want to go ahead and transition to the poetry. Before we hand the show over to you, Buddy, for everybody that's watching live, we do this show live for a reason. The comment section is so important to us. We want this to be a dialogue between the three of us and all of y'all watching. So use the comment section, show some love, ask your questions. We may relay them over to Buddy. He may choose to answer them or may set boundaries and say, fuck off with your question. So it's totally fine, but put it in the comment section, people. All right. That being said, let us bounce the fuck out. And Buddy, please.
Wow, this is happening. Okay. Hey, can I ask you guys, are they going to be commenting while I read? How does this? No, I'm going to go with the flow. I'm not going to be reading any comments while I'm reading, though, because
don't do it.
I haven't, 2019 or 2020, everything got canceled, and I haven't actually been on tour or read much. And I realized tonight how long it's been. So I'm reading everything off the screen, including a brand new piece that I'll start with. You want to get out of here, don't you? Okay, sorry.
No, that's good. That's good. All right, so we will not post any of the comments said during your set on screen, so they do not distract you. Then we'll just flood them afterwards. And Ebony Stewart already submitted a great question that I have no idea what she means by it.
Let's take Ebony.
Take that up with Sip. Okay, take that up with Ebony's partner.
Hey, Eb, don't answer that. Don't answer that, dude.
All right. Let us get out of here. You do some poetry. We'll be back.
We're just going to do two, y'all. We're just going to start off with two. Granted, it's a couple long-ass pieces. No, there's one it doesn't matter. You're here for the ride. I'm only going to do two. This one hasn't ever been read live. And I think two people have heard it. It was just commissioned for the 5-year anniversary of the Pulse shooting in Orlando. So this is... that it's excuse me, it's almost 2 a.m. here in Portugal, and I before I jumped on here for an exciting interview and reading, I had a couple hours to kill, so I've just been in the middle of watching Let the Right One In, which is a Swedish movie. It's about a young vampire. It's really good and dark, and it's the weirdest mood to enter all this with. So that's where I'm coming from, and here's where we're going. Is this new piece called "A Regal Gate" about the Orlando shooting, or my response to the Orlando shooting. All right, enough chit chat. Hold on, let me get this molecule of spittle out of my throat. That's some fucking old man shit. Hold on. Sorry, I should have just said COVID would have sounded better. Jesus. When God doesn't like you, you're fucked. When you find out you are God and he still doesn't like you, shit starts to get twisted. People say awful things about God. You walk like a girl, act like a fag, or going to hell. Wait, what? Do you know who I am? I wrote a book about love more than once, and I managed to crank each one out on the words devils are made from. How do you think the killer got in here? You can't see light unless something stops it. I don't know who got in whose way, but I'm not convinced peace doesn't feel dangerous first, doesn't walk in and massacre the shame it came from just to know itself. This has always been happening, long before my father made fun of me, a testament to old people saying awful things about the words we write to read between their contradictions. All I did was speak a language I could understand from a body I couldn't. First, I learned the words that don't hurt because they command the ones that do. Seeing clearly is cloudy business. I know it's been hard for the gunman to read me. Shoot, I get tired of explaining myself, but I don't mind spelling it out for the people who made me famous. I'll speak slower. Did you know that there's a stretch of highway called the loneliest road in America. Highway 50, halfway between the North and the South, state of Nevada, the gambler. Now, that has nothing to do with God having his pulse on the thumb of Orlando. Having his thumb on the pulse of Orlando until it does, until we connect the dots, the twisted days you drove us here, the wind tunnels. I haven't told you an untrue story yet, even if you think I'm a joke. I thought jokes were supposed to be funny, fella. It felt awful the way you said it, like I'm a despicable thing, a disgrace. It was true. I walked like a girl. I acted like a fag. I lived in hell. It killed me long before you bled me out, before you forced my hand, my pen, made me answer. I did. I wrote your story down with an eraser, wrote it like a fucking monster truck made out of books for old people, for people who still give a shit. Fractured my wrist, wrote it like a fucking monster truck made out of books for people who still give a shit. Fractured my wrist, the line breaks, the high wire calligraphy, a plank. I walked it into the ocean's appetite, wrote it like a knife in a kite fight. In a zeitgeist, God got punched in the blood, spit out the glitter and stood back up, wrote it out of this body into the desert, the loneliest road in America, drugged myself around by the feet, by these funny walking faggots. You weren't the first to break my stride, to load my pipe-pied sniper. When you offer crystals to a community of men who only want the world to shine, and it magically makes our walk go away, makes God like us, makes it okay to be a masochist, strong enough to want your bullet, to make love from the words devils are made of. And then you fit euphoria into it. God damn, it's a good word. Drugs. Just about covers everything. Drugs. I'm fucking all in. I'll kill myself with that shit. You won't need your insults. You don't need your gun. Not in the rapture. Not when we break the sky. It was an accident, the way I walk. The language it takes to survive it. Language that isn't scared to shit itself in public or edit itself in the rain to clean up nice. Did you know? There is a language that puts egos on the endangered list. It teleports history to the day it retained what it kept forgetting. It isn't scared to go off the high dive or a balcony. Do you think you can kill me with death? Sharpshooter, gunslinger, Old Testament. I've been asking for death for Christmas since 1984. I've gotten up off the ground more times than Easter. Death's had an open invite since the day I started treating myself like a man I couldn't have. I've been waiting for the Reaper by the bike racks in tears. Never wanted to hurt someone so hard. Somebody had to find me here, so I did. Took a deep breath, pulled myself up by the way karma works, like a chameleon, dressed up in your jokes and wrote a song about it. In it, I asked one of the people closest to my father, would he have liked me? Honestly, would my father have liked me? And they said, yes. Everything except for the part about you being gay. Y'all better thank peace it isn't dangerous anymore. That there's nothing a fag can accuse you of for which we haven't already been guilty. Shoot, we liked everything except for that part too. When every single person we have ever known at some point unwittingly reminds us that who we are is embarrassing. Well, it must be true. I believed you because I love you. The things you said about God, drove me far enough out to find all the right words in the unlikeliest places. Y'all, I got a speeding ticket on the loneliest road in America. Irony always has a joke to tell. It's not funny if you have to explain it, so I'll speak slowly. I made friends with the man who policed me. I asked him to breakfast. He asked me, my boy, has anyone ever told you you look just like Resurrection? Dead ringer. Everybody here's the savior. A complex of simple imposters. Just ask the vacuum between Orlando and Nevada. Death is like winning a rifle. The only reason some of us are still here is because suicide isn't an option. Not when you're trying to get God to like you. We were told we'd be cheating if we didn't stick around to get made fun of by our fathers. No one in Pulse cheated. We were on the dance floor at closing time, and the part of us that begets the hate that begat you walked in like a fight with flight, furious and out of ink, thought God God was blocking the light. He was a scared bunch, the gunman, a long and lonely road. Reaper at the bite cracks late. Couldn't see me until I passed the torch song trilogy, wrote myself toward him, took his breath away, a regal gait, the way a king walks, like a queen or a rising sun, enough bread to feed a country's invisible spaces. Do you really think you could kill us, raining down bullets and men, my boy? Then you haven't met the survivors yet. All right. Just gonna do one more, and then we're gonna come back and talk about. Hey Chibbi, can you just come in and tell me one thing? When I have the words up on the screen, can they see them, or is it just my face? Is it my face, or is it just words?
They can see you. They can totally see you.
They
Keep
couldn't
going.
see the words?
No. Just
Only
you.
yourself. Yeah.
There's blessings and curses to all of that. Could you please get off of my stage now? Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, let me pull up. Oh, you know what? Now I can't. I have to do it this way. Here we go. What's going to happen is the other book. I didn't bring any of my books to Portugal. So sick of poetry. It's true. I'm sorry. I'm on a poet. I shouldn't. This is like the time I got hired at the Shakespeare Festival and suggested they put Shakespeare on moratorium and stop teaching that motherfucker. Okay, let's go to here it is. I had to find it online because I didn't bring any of my books with me. I'm disjointed as today. Here we are. This is doesn't matter. It'll speak for itself. Hopefully. Otherwise, didn't do my job right. Everybody's got a story that comes from an awful story that lives inside of a story that's dead. Stop telling it. Perfect. Probably isn't what you think it is. What are we even aiming at when we use that word? Y'all, there will be a lot of shooting. Most of it won't be straight. Don't worry. You don't have to be good at everything. There are so many people here. If you really want to do something flawless, stay present. Your fate is just another word for now, just another name for transmute density. Meditation is critical. And mercy. Have mercy. These bodies are a sticky hologram. Being human does not require any further context. Your expectations of me are not my responsibility. Those are yours. Everyone gets the same amount of time to live their lives. I want to be a reliable narrator for a living, so I'll just tell you the worst of it first and be done with it. Realizing the transparency of my neediness was dignity well spent. Forgiveness is a matter of advocating for dignity. When my body came home from the shame experiment, the first thing I saw was its resolve. If you still aren't willing to cut every loss, you are not yet prepared to qualify. Cut the loss, the story of it. I stopped being nostalgic when I started keeping up. Seeing a man run as fast as he can still gives me goosebumps. I'm not scared to die. I just don't want it to hurt. I bet the biggest misconception about death is that we won't care anymore. I will never not love you. Hiding the absence of your love is a mathematical impossibility. You were the year I wished my life on other people. Magnets are incapable of lying. Perfect was incapable of telling the truth. Darkness is redundant. I wanted us to be the truth. I meant to do it correctly. In loving gain of our memory and mercy, have mercy. Do not flake on the blessing. Y'all, there is every such thing. We were every such thing, but I may have been grossly underprepared to receive love. Was it even in this lifetime that we knew each other? Tonight, I painted my apartment and remembered every life I've ever lived, including the one where you read this. Was I really too sensitive? Or were you just too unconscious? And if you weren't just too unconscious, then were you just being cruel? Maybe we work our way to the middle. Maybe we work our way into what we are. Why don't you want to know what we are? I'll cut your costume loose. I'll cut you right out of it. When something is absent, it is absolutely not in your way. Get in my way. Come remind me what we are together. Do it soon. Soon we will have to say what we have to say to each other's faces. Mine is I love you. Mine is have mercy. I just wanted to throw something as hard as I could. I wasn't paying attention to what it would do when it landed. You hear my fans? Listen to all my fans.
The roaring applause.
Guys, give that great sound bite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're all making it work in this virtual space, aren't we?
Hey.
Oh, okay. I'm
just
breathing.
a little light reading at 2 in the morning over here. And y'all,
Just light.
can I tell you the kids in Porto? Can I tell you a couple stories? Should I just? I'm gonna take. Can we go for a 30-second walk, please?
Yes,
Go.
of course.
Okay.
Wow.
Listen, I don't want you to panic. If it robots up or gets crispy, I'll come right back to this space. It'll kick back in. We'll be all good. So don't panic. But first, I'm going to take you on a walk and show you what happened to my life for $750 a month, and then we'll talk about what these beautiful people do. Hold on. I'm just going to show you this side of my balcony.
Wow.
It's not even, it's just people just walk and shop up and down here all day. And there's little street artists that play there. Every day there's like 6 interchangeable ones, including a white guy with dreadlocks who sings Bob Marley too much. And then look, wait, I'm not done yet. Hold on. We can walk this. Oh, I'm just going to flex my Spanish tiles. Hold on. Boom, son. And then it just keeps going now. Look at this. I wish it was daytime.
Oh, wow. But it's so beautiful, though.
Place. Okay. Thank you for seeing all that with me. But I just wanted you to have an idea of the street outside here, because it's 2:08 now, so they're largely settled down. But it's Thursday too. They usually keep it bumping. And the other night they walked by. They sing a lot when they're drunk, and they don't mind doing it very loudly. And the other night, it's usually songs I can't understand, because I've only been taking Portuguese for 3 weeks. The other night they came by and they were singing "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd at the top of their lungs, and they were singing well. And there was probably like 7 or 8 of them, and it was beautiful. It was just a stunning moment, and something I don't want to say like that, but in the vein of that happens almost every night. Some sort of magical little lovely moment here. And I'm still in the honeymoon. I'm romanticizing everything here, but it's not too far off. The pace here, the people here, the city, the view, all of it. It's just such a great place to be. How did I get here? We were talking about poems, and all of a sudden I dove into
into Portugal. Well, let's just dive into that, because we have our own questions, but let's dive into that. Like, what took you to Portugal?
Good question.
We all want to know. We all know you went there, but it's like, but why?
Here's the deal. So, bullet points. We can talk about how most of my life I've because I didn't have the right information, I largely bailed on investments too soon. That's just like a figurative and literal statement. Both with relationships and financial situations, I've tended to bail on investments too soon. And I'm not getting any prettier. I'm 46. My skin's starting to do weird shit. My fucking neck jiggles quite a bit now. The lighting in here is good, thank God. But anyways, my point is I'm not getting any younger. I wanted to make some smart moves for myself that considered my future. And so my best friend and his family, who's also my producer, and his family moved out here. Everything they said about it was right up my alley. and I've been all over the world, but somehow I've not made it to Portugal, and had always wanted to. And so I just said, well, I'll just go to live then. And so I don't even know what happened. All this, I just kept saying yes to the paperwork. I just kept saying yes to all the requirements, and doing them as they came in. And somehow I'm here, and now I'm actually not leaving. I'm subletting my place in LA, and eventually I'll just be here. I'm looking at buying a home this week, actually.
Wow.
So what brought me here was just, I'm blessed with the most beautiful friends in the world. I know we all have. Can I keep just rambling?
Yes,
this is your show.
Go for it.
That's right, bitches. I have this thing about, here's 100% to 100%, right? It doesn't get any more than 100%. This is something I'm big on. And so when I'm asked to pick a favorite or a best friend, I'm lucky enough to be able to have to count my 100% friends. I need 2 hands for that. There's about 8 of them, and it's magic. I'm basically part of the Avengers, is what I'm trying to tell you. And John and his family came out here, and I knew that my heart and my life and myself and would be safe and in good hands and have family here. And we have family night every Saturday. Turns out I'm really good at Nintendo games. I didn't know this about myself. And although I've been called a button masher, which I don't believe is a true thing. So anyways, what I wanted to say was that I ended up here because that's how much I trust and love my people. I knew that there was love waiting here for me. I knew that I needed to make a move outside of LA. I have a very small, though lovely view and great life. I have a small place in LA. I don't want to be turning 50 in it. I was in the apartment 2 years too long. And so these are all the catalysts of why I moved. And then serendipity, I would be remiss if I failed to just take the opportunity. If I didn't shout out to serendipity, it's just led me to everything good in my life. That was a bit disjointed, but I feel like
I think we got it all.
I got you, buddy. I'm following you. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
And then part of me was just like, I want to come back to a little tangent and be like, okay, so you and your best friends are the Avengers. So who are you? What Avenger are you?
Okay, well, here's the deal about that. If I'm picking, are we picking superheroes now? Like which superhero would be?
Yeah, in the Avengers.
Because I have an answer for this.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to say Aquaman, and you can laugh, and you can just be reaffirmed in the fact that I'm gay. But here's why Aquaman is because global warming is real, y'all. And it doesn't matter if you're Superman, you're going to want to fucking fly around for the rest of your life. And you're Superman, so it's going to be a long life, and you're just going to be flying. But me, I'm going to be chilling because it's global warming. I'm the king of this. I can breathe under there. Barracudas are coming for me. Like it's my world.
I'm going to let you have your answer, but I'm also going to let you know that Aquaman is from the DC universe and the Avengers are from the Marvel universe.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I had to clarify.
That's what
know. Yeah. It's Justice League. Don't tell me, Chibby. I had all the
I was going to I was like, it is Buddy's show, right? That is Buddy's show.
And like I said, I'm going to let you have it. I just know there are people out there that are going to fight you for it, you know? So
I feel they need me to know that it's Justice League.
All right. Let's before we dive into so much, let's talk about poetry real quick. One, thank you for the world premiere of that poem. We got some new shit on this show. Usually I'm talking about how like Raquel is like reacting in so many ways as she's backstage listening to the poem, but I was having all the feels too. I was like, if Raquel could see me, she would know. So that's one. Two, the second poem you did, Harmony Enemy, is the second poem in your book. And I say this because I want to talk about your book. when I got to it, it's only the second poem in the book. When I got to it, I had to walk away. I like threw the book and was like, this mother. And then I had to come back and then go find it, pick it back up, and like keep going. You know. So on the subject of your book, it's the first book you put out in I think it was like 8 years, something like that. Yeah. What was the process of putting it together, and like when did you realize you're writing a book and not just a bunch of poems?
Oh my God, it was 8 years, and okay, it's truth time. But I want you to restate the question one more time so I don't stray too far from the point, which I'm really good at.
It's just, what was the process of putting together the book, and when did you realize you were writing a book and not just a bunch of poems?
Okay, what was the process of putting together the book? It would be not a true thing if I tried to spell out like a legit process. Like there was no mathematical, there was no calculated strategic thing. It was just 8 years of once I have enough stuff or it's time to release a book, or it was just like okay, let's take all that you've done in this time and see what happens. And luckily, as serendipity would have it, everything started falling into place that would lend to the book. I keep something called so that's that is an overview. And then once it was time to make sure it was a book, all I ever have to draw off of is right now. Like if we're gonna get metaphysical, which we are, now is all that ever was or will be. That's a fun thing to say, but it's also the actual truth. And so within this now and presence, I started at the time was drawing off of the story that I was living and folded that in, because inevitably I knew it would work with the poetry that had led up to it, because none of there's a point of connection in everything, and it's not disjointed. So that's that. And then regarding any part of the process, I keep something on my desktop called the Big Idea List, basically. And it's every one of the barroom napkins. It's every one of the notes that I've taken. It's every text I've ever sent it's just lists and lists of badass lines that resonate with me and that never found a home. And so once I get 100 of those, I take 100 resonant lines and I work with them for an editing process that actually scares me away from writing sometimes, until I have something like Harmony Enemy, which is exactly that process that I used to get Harmony Enemy. And it was all that energy was directed toward who I thought was the love of my life. A really great gentleman who we did not play to each other's strengths, and it didn't work out ultimately. That piece tackles the complication of it without having to spell itself out.
I mean, thank you.
I think I did it again. I think I did it. I think I went off into the woods. Did I go into the woods?
No. We're just digesting over here.
I tried to leave breadcrumbs for myself to get back to the original question, and then I just smelled the bread, and I kept going into the woods.
No, it was great. You're giving insights to your life, and I'm just like, thank you for sharing. I'm also digesting that like Chibbi is just, I just love that Chibbi is just like reacting to you and just like glowing.
Oh, good.
You make it seem like I'm some stoic robotic thing on the regular. I realize I'm ISTJ. Okay, I don't do the feels. You're the Pisces here. Okay, I'm the Gemini.
I am. Like I would be like, while you were reading, Buddy, I was just like, oh my God, yes. I really did wish that I could see Chibbi, but I could definitely tell he's telling the truth, because his little his little cheeks were so prominent, and I just loved it. So I don't know if I just like totally.
My cheeks have gained 15 pounds in the past year. It's fine. It's fine.
And more. Hey, Chibbi, are you? Are you a Gemini?
I am.
Yes.
June what?
12th.
I'm the 4th. And do you know that Anis Mojgani is the 14th?
And my father's the 7th.
And my stepbrother's the 3rd.
I don't know where this is going, but I'm living for it.
Well, wait, now I want to tell you something really cool about. I don't know much about astrology at all. Relatively nothing, but there's something called free will astrology. Do you know about this?
No.
Rob Bresney?
No.
It would have been so cool if you guys if you had both gone, yeah, I know Rob. This would be so much cooler. But last week, I've been reading his horoscope for, I don't know, 20 something. Oh, since 95, actually.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you guys were born yet, but since 95, and for a very special reason, which also includes the people who live here in Portugal. Anyways, so when I see him, I always get excited. He quoted me last week. He said, fellow Gemini poet Buddy Wakefield said, and I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Wow.
Yeah, it was on the Google Alerts thing that Rob Bresney used me in a national horoscope, and I was so.
She out there. Buddy just doing all the things.
I arrived.
No, you are. So it's funny because I was talking to Chibbi, while we were creating our questions. Is it's like, Buddy has like a really legit Wikipedia page. Like it is full blown, multiple. Like it's a whole page, like with different sections. And I was like, wow.
You all know something? Kristen O'Keefe-Aptowitz, I believe, is the person who started that page, and Kristen O'Keefe-Aptowitz is one of the unsung heroes of Poetry Slam, especially like currently as things evolve and voices spread. And I'm so glad I didn't say voices carry, but so Kristen did so much for the slam community, including just little things like that, like building people's Wikipedia page, letting us all know when there were grants available. Like, I just want to put that out there. She's in Austin now. I suspect she's not too involved with the community anymore. She became a New York Times best-selling author. Her husband actually wrote Ready Player One, and they've been busy with like Spielberg and shit like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I think you get what you give, and they deserve everything that they've got. Kristen gave us everything she had when she was in the community. She really looked out for us, and there was a lot of selfless work in it that I don't actually even know as a recovering narcissist how to entirely relate to. I mean, she spent a lot of time on us on her own volition.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the community a little bit because
you put community in quotes.
Community in quotes, right? You joined the slam spoken word world, at the beginning of the new millennium ish, transitioning between the 90s slam to the early 2000s. And like, it's unarguably said that you and your work has inspired the next generation of poets very much so. So like, how has the evolution of slam and spoken word been for you? Like what is that to you, for you?
How's the evolution? How do I receive the evolution of slam as it's been to how it is now?
What is your perception on? Yes,
my perception is that I don't think it's as experimental anymore, but I think it lives up to its name more now. I think we weeded out. I think the slam community weeded out. So for actors, they have acting, and people tried to bring some acting into poetry slam, and it didn't work because there's acting for that. And what the unwritten rule, it just wasn't being well received if it wasn't honest. If you weren't writing from a place that you actually lived and knew about, and using the platform to ultimately to leave clear writing on the wall for the people, within and without yourself. It became a very cathartic community that needed a safe space and a voice, and we supported each other and got stronger and stronger. And I think, in terms of like the collective conscious, I think we are an acute source of like the whale sonar that put out into the universe all of the awareness that's there now, from Black Lives Matter to trans voices to everything that's happening right now. I believe originated with voice, with spoken word, from this community, and I think it bounced out and has and continues to reverberate. But in the beginning, and so everything's a very serious matter now, and it feels very serious. In the beginning, there was definitely, I mean, we're all poets. Nobody came to this community because, we had, because we were accepted.
Okay.
We're just going to fucking get to it. We all came to this community basically because we had some shit to work out. And that's what art is for, to witness each other. I mean, witnessing is fundamental to the infrastructure of healing. So we were all just witnessing each other. But we were doing it there were more angles. It felt like there were more angles. There was, and it felt like there was more like legit poetry involved, and not just fucking slam, like telling somebody off. Or it didn't feel like that was the whole of it. It felt like an awesome angle of it. There were so many awesome angles, but right now it's a very important time in history, obviously, with the uprising of so many oppressed voices, that the focus is all there. And I think for people who are experimenting with either funnier stuff, or if it's not geared toward the progression of, the psychological evolution of equal footing, then I don't think anybody has time for it right now. And I feel that that the community is missing out on some of that now, because, and this is the last thing I'll say before we move on. I think we have a ripple effect, and if I'm constantly trying to reach the outer ring of my ripple effect, where my outrage lives, like in Syria or in Palestine or Brazil, I can't. I'm not going to have a positive ripple effect from my core. Like, I have to sit with the inner ring of my ripple effect and be with my core, and literally ripple out from the people around me, and cause joy in the people around me, so that continues to move forward. That's a reality. That's not like a hippie thing I'm making up. Like, we have to positively, lovingly affect the people next to and around us for it to reach all the way out there. And if everybody's living toward that high ideal, which is totally accomplishable, achievable, then it happens. And I think there's so much outrage right now. People are out there with it. It bruises my heart up a little bit to see it, because it's okay to be fun and funny and poetic and all those things. And God, we could talk about this for hours. I think
you have so eloquently said what I think I've been feeling for a while. So, like, yes.
Well, thank you for calling it eloquent.
It really was. It really, really was. And I'm really sitting with what you just said about the ripple effect, right? Where you're just sitting in the center ring. I kind of want to still kind of stay on, your work and how it's really affected from the early 2000s to these next generations of poets, right? And talking about your work. Oh, you're good.
Sorry.
You're good. Just a little segue to Write Bloody Publishing, right? You were one of the first poets to be published by Derek Brown's publishing company. I just want to know what the story is behind that. Like, did you and Derek kind of just sat down? He's like, yes, I want you to be published. And also then, Like, how did that come out, you know? And other than yourself, who else were you excited to see published by Write Bloody?
Ooh, this is an interesting question right now in this period in time. Derek and I toured together for years, and then he wanted to put out a book, and he realized he realized how to get the ISBN number and distribution and all that without having to pay a bunch of money for something else. He would have to tell you the story, but he just realized he would be better doing. Did you see that? Like, I had hair to push back. He would have to tell you how it all went down himself. I just know that when he figured out how to do it, I think I was, you know, like, I don't know if it was if you want to call it guinea pig, but I just happened to be touring with him, and it was my friend. I'm no longer, as of this year, I am the sole owner of all my work. That was something I really wanted. So I'm no longer with Write Bloody. But yeah, that's all it was. It was just a matter of us touring together for years and him wanting to put out more people's books and start a business. And so he did. And I think Anise wasn't far after me, and it just kept going. And we were having so much fun on the road, and there were so many good people a part of it that it just picked up. Like, I don't even know if people remember that it was Sonia Renee Taylor, Anise Mojgani, Andrea Gibson, Derek Brown, Robbie Q. Telfer, Mike McGee, Timmy Straw. We all lived in a van together. We were just going, like, I mean, there were people rotating through there, but we were doing it, and it was fun. And I think people wanted to be a part of it, and with good reason. And it's no arrogant statement. It's just more proud fact that we were just having such a good time out there, and we were doing it in a way that was meaningful and passing, you know, talking about the issues and witnessing people and getting and it was lovely. It was life-giving. It was life-giving. And yeah.
Well, you've answered our question about touring, because we were going to dive into that. I also do want to acknowledge the question that Andrea had about how to spell Kristen O'Keefe's name. Thank you, Brett, for answering that, and Ebony for confirming. Just letting you all know, we are watching. We're watching. We're getting there. It's not your job to watch it. It's our job to watch it. But on the subject of touring, I'm gonna take this one because we're on it. According to your Wikipedia page,
I'm already exhausted. Go on.
You have performed in every state except North Dakota.
It's true.
What's up with North Dakota?
Yeah.
It's a romantic. It's just. Why am I getting emotional? Holy cow. That was a surprise. It's just it's just a it's just a piece of poetry for myself. I think if you were to listen to convenience stores, you might get an idea of why I haven't done North Dakota. And it's as simple as that. There's just been, I've driven the United States probably 12 times by myself on top of the other tours. And so I have spent a large part of 20 years alone in the car watching the United States and driving. And there was a particular moment in time when my car had been broken into and the stereo was stolen. And I had to drive through, the window was gone and the stereo was stolen. And I had to drive from Minneapolis to Seattle. And I had to drive through North Dakota. And there are little moments in history that, from the tour, and North Dakota is one of them. The loneliest road in America that I talked about earlier. Some really interesting things happened there, including actually getting a speeding ticket on the loneliest road in America. And That just has a special place in my heart, North Dakota. And it's when I wrote Convenience Stores was on that drive with no stereo.
My husband's dad is a truck driver, and convenience store hits very home for him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. There were 3 in my family. There were 3 truck drivers in my family. It's also maybe why The Highwaymen was selected. You know, that song that you're definitely going to listen to later.
100.
I definitely will. Oh man, that was beautiful though. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. You know, I know you're just like, oh, you're exhausted about touring, but we, you know, if you don't mind sharing, for those who didn't know, we were having a conversation about, you know, places you've been and where you perform, and San Antonio has you have
We're going there.
Let's talk about all my public shamings while we're here. Because I just so happened last week to have made a list of my crimes in this community for 20 years. And I'm a fucking sweetheart. Let's talk about it. I would just like to say, in listing my crimes, this is a side note. This has nothing to do with what we're about to dive into with fucking San Antonio. But I realized I have never slept with or dated a single person in the poetry community.
Oh, that's great.
You're probably one of the smarter people out there for it.
San Antonio. Okay, should I just dive in and tell the story? Because
just go. I'm gonna sing.
How far apart are we? Y'all came in at like 2010,
2016 for me.
For me, it was closer to like 2005, 6. I was part of the Sam's Burger joint days. Okay,
I've only heard rumors.
Okay, so here's the thing. Evidently, San Antonio had a group of hecklers, and they were known, and they would fuck with everybody who came there. And yes. I guess I won't name names because it would just be rude, but one of the poets, there was a well-known poet who cried. There was another well-known poet who walked off stage, and then I was on tour, and I came, but no one had ever warned me about San Antonio. The hosts didn't even tell me, like, listen, just so you know, I know you're about to fucking make yourself as vulnerable as it possibly gets. We have a table full of hecklers if you want to prepare something, you know, nothing. And they just let these people go at folks. Okay.
Can I just clarify? Can I just clarify when Buddy says San Antonio has a group of hecklers, the audience. That's what Buddy's talking about. It's the whole audience. It's the whole fucking audience.
Okay, but this particular table, it was just this one particular table that night. And I didn't know it. And I was so excited about life. I'm fucking living in my car for 2 years, dedicated to poetry. My purpose is marching. Like, I know what I'm about and doing. My fundamentals are legit. And I don't think I'm just getting up there to do, you know, like, I want to go somewhere with this. Like, I have a writing partner who was like, we don't have to write something transcendent every time. And I was like, yes, we do. And so that's how I get when I'm on stage. I'm like, let's fucking do this. And so I get there, and I think the vibe was, by the time I caught on, the vibe was like, oh, he doesn't know. Like, he doesn't know that we're not going to accept him. Like, that it's a predestined failure. And so once I caught on, I had a poem called I Got Gone, and I just did it like this to that table, like they were dead center. And I was so pissed at the organizers for not even warning that, like, they're having it's like inviting someone over to your house and just like throwing shit on them and being like, oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you, we're gonna make you smell like shit. And so I just couldn't get down with it. And so I took that with me, and I was in Austin the next night, and I told Mike Henry that fucking place sucks. And of course, Mike told Shaggy and Phil, and then I was living on tour, and so I would send out these mailers, and I didn't take Phil off of it, and And then it was, you shouldn't talk shit on people and then ask us, for gigs. But I was like, okay. And so it didn't work out. Phil and I are fine now. But what happened, this is where it got shitty. It involves a really faggoty dude. And there was one kid who just had it for me. And with good reason. Here's what happened. George McKibbins and I were in an elevator. This is when George met. Yeah, it doesn't matter. George McKibbins of Rachel McKibbins fame.
Yeah.
George and I were in the elevator, and it was at Nationals, so it was required. We were really drunk. By the way, I haven't had a drink in 640 days today, but we were fucking toasty. Like, I don't have a filter when I'm sober, and then when you add drinks to it, it gets worse what happens in there. But it's still a lovely human being. Like, I'm not trying, I don't want any trouble, but we were in an elevator, and evidently San Antonio was in the elevator, like 3 of them. It was packed, and somebody just coincidentally asked me something about tour, and I said how great it was, except for San Antonio. Don't fucking go to those motherfuckers' place. And I just started talking shit, and there was a woman who actually got mad at me because she had introduced herself something like 5 or 6 times, and she was disgusted because I still didn't remember her name. Would you believe I still don't remember her name? But she was so mad at me, and then there was a gay kid, and he was just okay, and he was ready to let me have it constantly. And so San Antonio invited me back. This is way too drawn out to be reliving this long, but it's not even that great. But San Antonio did invite me back to like a peace march, I don't know. And so I came, and that kid, nobody was there because San Antonio was in the playoffs, and that kid came with like a group of friends, purposely sat in the back corner and talked and kept his back to me. And
yeah,
I mean, we're in the poetry world, so some things like that just have to be expected. But there's just never been I've never been like, gotta go back to San Antonio. But listen, in the elevator that night, I was not a gentleman.
Well,
I feel like there should be there should definitely be some sort of firework ending, but it just sort of fizzled out into nobody fucking cares.
I feel that's very puro, but at the same time, I feel like if you were ever to come back to San Antonio, Chibbi would definitely be, and San Antonio would be definitely a gentleman, like you would describe Portugal, and host you really well.
Chibbi, I'm so interested in your take from San Antonio.
Look, you are not wrong. The Heckle Dome was named the Heckle Dome for a reason. I think earlier in the night we had Darrell Pittman, the Green Lantern, on, and he said if Portugal is the gentleman, then San Antonio is the crazy ant. Absolutely. That being said, y'all, San Antonio does have a beautiful literary scene with multiple places that showcase poetry and spoken word. Puro Slam will always be punk rock. Puro Slam, like you're walking into. It is historically been in a bar where people don't necessarily care about poetry. Like you're walking in with the odds stacked against you. So you have to work extra hard.
That's what I loved about having some success with poetry, because I got to develop a rider where no one could put me in that situation.
Do it. There you go. There you go. So yeah. Corey says, you want open arms and free hipster coffee, go to Austin. This is true. But San Antonio's got a little bit of everything for everyone. Puro will always be puro for the people that have gone through it, but it is it's
It's not. I feel like it's definitely like around Fight Club. Shaggy definitely loves that movie. A lot of our like little between rounds are based off of Fight Club. So many Fight Club references. So yes.
So let me ask you, because we've talked now a lot about your touring, how you sold everything and just went on the road for years. You've been all over the country, all over the world, really. How have you adapted to performing in the age of COVID in this virtual space? Or have you?
So I was in the middle of the world tour. I was for the new book, Acquire of Honest Killers, which is no longer, it's released in 2019. I did the US leg of the tour, everything except for the East, like Northeast. And then I was headed over to Europe, Africa, Australia, and COVID kicked in. So when COVID kicked in, excuse me, that big old mountain of Coke right here getting to me. So right before I left, I was to leave for the next leg of tour. I knew, it's been 20 years and I can't, I'm so exhausted and I need stability and routine. And I'm just, the grass is always greener and tour is no longer where the green grass is for me. And, so I wanted to do online workshops. I wanted to see how it would go. And, I never realized that if I just stayed in one place and my fans came to me, that could be a really big show. And so it was really successful in 1 month. And so then COVID kicked in and I was already set up, like totally serendipitously. I was already set up, ready to go. And COVID kicked in and I did a workshop. And then I did 5 concerts from my place, like Buddy, Back in the Closet, Gay Poems by Buddy, Buddy, Up with Buddy in the Loft, or something like the love poems, and then there was like Buddy in the bathroom, the shit gets crazy, just some random shit. And so I did 5 concerts in 1 workshop and ended up making more money in 1 month than I had ever made in a month in my entire career. And I was like, holy shit. And then I was immediately like, Andrew, you got to check this out. And Derek, you got to check this out. And then I realized, like, I can just fucking get everybody in here and we can all be making money. And then I did heavy hitters. And some of my calculations were off. I haven't made any money. I haven't made any money in over a year. I made $0 off of Awful Good Writers. In fact, I might owe a little. But we paid the shit out of, except I got paid for the class I taught, but we paid artists anywhere from $500 to $5,000 to do a 90-minute show on heavy hitters. And I was just so fucking stoked to have found a way to get us all paid. And that turned into Awful Good Writers when we started doing workshops, which you've done, Chibbi. And then, after a year of, I'm glad everybody's made money and stuff, but I was so exhausted and mentally worn out and dealing with the needs of 40 divas at a time, and somehow still keeping my cool and patience. And I just transferred ownership of Awful Good Writers over to Say Reed, who is an angel, and has also had to repair any damage I've done with my decisions. So I hope people continue to support them, because it's no longer like it's such a great company, and we did such good things, and now they're doing such good things for artists. And I think at the end there was a public shaming. It's all on me, and I hope that people still I have nothing to do with the company anymore. I created it, but it's all them now. They're much more diplomatic than I am, whereas I feel like often there's a stark lack of truth in diplomacy, and it can go fuck itself. So they're way more professional, and they're doing great things. And I am just in Portugal now. I'm going to do my own thing. That quote unquote community situation is too much. It's too much. I sort of sidetracked into my own personal feelings right now because they're still thick, but We can unpack as much of that as you want to, but if you need to, but otherwise.
That's valid. Like we said, it's your show. It's your show.
It is. All right, Chibbi, just before, do we have time for one more question before Buddy goes into his poetry?
We got time for whatever we got time for. Okay. This is our second to last show. The audience is vibing with us. I think we're vibing. I'm good.
Okay. Wow. Buddy, I've been having a great time. I love your smile. I love your energy. It's been really, really fantastic to talk to you. I love this idea of like manifestation and being magic. And then I know that my last question, at least for you, is, you were talking about how you didn't want to be in LA when you turn 50 or you enter your 50s, and that's why you're in Portugal. So I kind of want to know, like, what are you manifesting yourself for the end of your 40s and entering into your 50s? Like, what are you manifesting for yourself?
That's a lovely question. I think being enough right now is enough. Oh my God, that opened up a gate. The door's wide open for me in LA. It's not even a matter of having a foot in the door. The door's wide open. If I write something, if I want to do something, I can go. And I think the truth is I just didn't want it bad enough. I've hustled I did everything I wanted to do with poetry. I've hustled my ass off. I've worked my buns off. And I don't think I just don't want to go at that pace anymore. And I feel like I've always gone big. I've always been all or nothing. It's always been touch and go from childhood through to now. I've never been stable and rested. And as far as manifesting, so I want to bookmark the rest. And as far as manifesting goes, I think when we worry, we literally attract what we don't want. And I'm good at that. And so I think for me, it's a matter of turning off the worry and not trying to control what I'm going to manifest, but actually surrender and let the universe now give me what it wants to give me and stop trying to manipulate it so hard. And that's been tough for me because, like I'll be like, oh yeah, let's surrender to the universe. And then I'll be like, but I'm not. Okay, let me get loaded and and the perfect partner, and then we'll revisit this idea of surrender. And because sometimes I don't, but I know in my heart, when I surrender, the goods happen. I think there's an element way in the background that says, so I'm supposed to surrender to a universe who, I'll just speak as a gay kid growing up in Texas, wanting to kill himself and, being made fun of and all the other things that come along with life besides that are so hard. It wasn't easy. We've all got a story. It wasn't easy. And the abuse and like, why would I want to surrender to whatever brought me into that? And so as we grow older, and understand neurologically and more metaphysically for ourselves about having to try and word it, what's happening within and without us, that trust becomes easier. And so I'm more interested in I don't have a particular thing I want to manifest. Of course, I would love a great partner and money and all that stuff. But right now, what I truly want is to trust my surrender, is to get what's coming to me and to receive it and to rest, to read a book, to let it come, to just let it come, to just let it, to trust the process, let it happen and be enough, not need to go big, not need to win a world championship, not need to do anything, not need to run a company, nothing, just to make enough. I would like to make enough to live comfortably here and rest. I really want to just rest. It's been a long life.
That really touched me. I got really
the Pisces over there. I had some other questions, other things that I wanted to dive into, but I think that's a really beautiful place to just kind of end it. I do have one final question, which was the first question that was posed in the audience, just because I'm curious, because I have no idea what they're talking about.
Wait, were there audience questions all along?
There were a couple. There were a small smattering.
I'll keep them short if you want to get them their answers.
Well, I want to ask this because I don't know what it's about. But Ebony asks, has anyone asked Buddy about his legs yet?
That's so fucked up, Eb. That's so fucked up. Is she still here? Is she still here?
I don't know. Maybe she's commented a couple of times, so she might still be here. That question makes no sense to me, and I want to know what's happening.
I'll tell you.
Oh, Ebony's still here. She just commented.
Are you still okay?
She's still here. He was calling her.
So, Eb, this is so fucked up. Here's the deal. My whole you know what's more important than the answer to this question is to unpack why Ebony Stewart's a bully. And she's a bully, guys. And she has been body shaming my hairless legs for quite some time. My whole life, people ask me if I shave my legs. And so here's the deal. You know how like when you get your esteem knocked down, you find ways to build it back up? There's a little tuft of hair on my knees. Just a tiny little, it's barely visible, but it took me 46 years to grow. And sometimes I get excited now, like, oh my God, I have a little hair on my knees. And I was like in that point in my life where I'd built myself back up to like He-Man level hair on my knees. And that was when Eb said, hey, do you shave your legs? And so I let her know, no, I don't shave my legs. But here's the thing that people don't understand. Or that I could be lying about. But my calves are so big. This is true. My calves are so big. I think my whole life pants would never allow hair, and just my body got used to it. It was just like, fuck it, we're not going to grow any hair on his legs. That's my theory. Either that or God hates me, which is my theory for a lot of things. Y'all, hey, I have to tell you something that's real. I have to pee so bad. I drink about 1.5 gallons of water a day. And before I even try and go into this last poem, because I know y'all are going to ask me to do one, unless you're not, and that's fine. Just talk to them answer a question that was for me on my behalf. I'll be right back. But I have to mute myself, Chibbi, because the lay of the land, you'll hear it. There's no door in the bathroom here.
Go.
Okay.
You're muted. This is that's absolutely fair, because I was totally like, okay, as soon as we go into his last poem, I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
Look, Andrea says that Andrea's been holding it in too. I see that. I don't, you know what, people, this has never happened before, which is fine. I'm trying to go through because there were some questions. I love the comments that have been coming through.
Me too. I love it. They've been quoting. They've been like in their feels with me. I get it. I feel like some of y'all are on these Pisces levels with me. Thank you.
And you said it right too. Like, I don't get very emotional about stuff, but sometimes, like when I read Buddy's work, or when I hear Buddy perform, I do. It touches me, and I'm like, I want to take the book and I want to just throw it across the room, because I want to throw a shoe at Buddy. Yeah,
I wanted to do that when I read Brendan Constantine's Birthday Girl with Possum. Once I discovered, I've been friends with Brendan for years, but once I really sat down and read his work, I just wanted to throw my computer in front of a Mack truck and pack it in.
And I know you can talk about Brendan Constantine for hours. I wanted to dive into Eckhart Tolle and meditation. You did a whole TED talk on meditate. Who does a 20-minute TED talk on meditate? Who's allowed to do a 20-minute TED talk? First of all,
who talks
you.
For 20 minutes about meditation?
You.
And
so
he said, this is my stage. I will do whatever I want.
So we absolutely don't have to dive into that, because it's already out there. People, go Google it, motherfuckers.
You know what? If you guys want to skip the last poem, and just, it's 3. Okay. I know that I'm not getting away with that. It's 3 a.m. here. Okay. All right.
Please close this out with a poem. Give us a poem.
Okay.
That's what we're living for.
All right. I'm just doing. All right. I need to get into state. Oh, you've left me. Everyone gather around. I wanted to do something tonight that I just didn't want to go back in and do what I was doing on tour. And I wanted to make it fresh and new for me also. So this is something I've only read out a couple of times. It's in the book, A Choir of Honest Killers. And I want to say something about it. It's not easy to hear, and it's a lot. And you got to get present with it because there are 11 points of math in it. I'm really proud of this poem because of what's intentional in it. And the math is really intentional. All right. My first memory is of the first time I saw the sky. Epic reckonings are often benign, so don't worry. I'm just a letter in an envelope as far as the ocean above us is concerned. What led to the second thing I remember about this life was being terrified out of my sky story and into the events that follow until I woke up in an octopus. This is a true story, a brief history of my best guess at what my body has been calling sex. My second memory was at a stoplight. I was 3. Mom assures me that we were not at a stoplight, that we were in motion, driving on the 610 loop, and I was actually 8. It is no small wonder how I managed to confuse a stoplight with a loop that literally encircles the entire city of Houston, or that there's a 5-year differential between my actual second memory and what I believe to be my second memory. I'm not light reading, y'all. There is no pause button. Absorb what you can, add it up later. This is not the time for pretending we can't hear Chechnya raping that woman in the first Mad Max movie, terrorizing a mother and her baby, killing them. I hope Mel Gibson's heart has learned to risk more softness. I hope his attackers have too. If you really want to understand what I've come here to say, then you have to remember there's a point of connection in everything. My nickname for God is the math. The math is a word problem. In 1982, a red pickup truck pulled up next to my mother on the 610 loop. In the bed of it was an upright, strapped-in motorcycle with a strawberry blonde bearded drunk riding high and unbathed in the seat. Only a woman could have given a man like that his strawberry color. Only women have the guts to give birth to men. There are a lot of people in this world already aware of what I am just now finding out. There are no stoplights on the 610 loop. Mom says there was no such thing as a man sitting on a bike in the bed of that truck. Said there was a truck with a motorcycle in it, yes, but there wasn't no strawberry. She did say, though, that 4 men on motorcycles were riding right behind it. I don't remember that. I don't remember how many tentacles it had, but I do remember what I dreamed after seeing Mad Max. How the acolytes yanked my mother through the car window, bashed her up to blood in the dust, and laughed about it. Me in the back seat, shrunk to the size of a tadpole in the sunken-eyed section of a nightmare, knowing that giving myself to violent men would be the only protection a 3-year-old could offer, to give them what they wanted, something soft. Don't talk to me about what it means to petrify until you've lived at a stoplight, unless you've dreamed your worst death and believed it was about to happen. I remember strawberry, leaning on down to look at Mom, a sloppy laughing inquiry into her lap, her driver's seat. A slug is the closest known land relative to the octopus. Octopodes communicate neurologically. Felt to me like Strawberry wanted to party. Felt like his fun grizzly buddies in the cab did too, smiling the way a follower smiles, the way drunk soldiers smile, the way men with no math smile. Wanted to throw throw things around a little, wanted to slap a knee about it or an ass, grab some titties, grab the softness off, eat a gazelle, chase it down first. They laughed and they laughed. Hyenas, they could take what they want if they wanted. Y'all, there are too many moral people, noble people whom I admire, who might come to see me as disgusting if they find out my behavior, how my body copes with sex, how strong humiliation makes me. 3-year-olds don't get credit for learning survival like this. You've probably already forgotten that when an 8-year-old boy feels too much pressure to be a man, he will remember his body as 3 just to dismantle the shame of himself, even when he's 44. I don't know how to stalk things. If that's what being a man is, I never was one. I was working to figure the difference between safety and being alone, was trying to outrun my faggot before it could make me any softer, was bearing the weight of watching my heroes believe I would burn forever and loving them anyway. This is what I know about being a man. Straight people need a gun for power like this. Y'all look like Russia hiding behind his dumb Chechen son. My mom played her best Southern belle for those bikers, played her kindness, played it well, knew that fear only speeds up chaos. So she just smiled and pointed to her 3-year-old son in the passenger seat, having his second memory. I was at a stoplight. They were all in motion on the 610 loop. When we finally pulled away, I was 8. Sobbing and incompetent. The only way an 8-year-old can protect his mother from a blur of men is to give them what they want. Nature. My nurture. Nurture. My nature. Stop trying to figure it out. I done told you, boy, I'm a woman from the bottom of a food chain living in the body of a man at the top. A letter in an envelope. The first time I saw the sky, put here to stop giving birth to the apocalypse. I still don't know why. When presented with the opportunity to invent an alternative reality, some writers go to such great lengths to make us worse than we already are. In 1979, Mad Max was released. A gang of bikers tormenting strangers. It didn't even have to exist. Chechnya doesn't even have to exist. They are certain I don't. If men stop cultivating a fear of death, does the apocalypse lose its charm? Does everybody soften up? Please use your words or go back underwater. I know you're petrified about feeling useless, about what to do with your power if it's not in a war, wars that are already over. What exactly are you fighting? Is it a word problem? Do you need a tutor? Has anyone checked your work? Does the power you feel from impact, from punching, penetration, a pistol's kick, jet propulsion, does it know who gave it birth? Does it know it was feminine? In the end, it will come down to the math, to word problems we are still uncomfortable with, like intimacy, like courage, softness, and actual courage. Are you beating your people because you don't know how to fix your dirt bike? When I finally tried to remember as far back as I could, I arrived at a stuffed animal, a gigantic green octopus. Mom said no, it was a frog, not an octopus. Said it was so big I would fall asleep on it or wrap myself up in it, but I don't remember that. The only thing I remember being wrapped up in was an airplane. I sealed myself into it, left for a tour. Jet propulsion. A letter in an envelope.
Whoa. Fucking
y'all. Y'all, let me just say this while Buddy gathers himself. Tonight, Buddy gave us 2 out of the first 3 poems in his book. If that's not enough reason for you to go fucking get this book, go fucking get this book. You will not regret. In fact, you'll regret not getting it if you don't fucking get it. So,
hey, Chib, can I say something about that?
Yeah, go.
You're so sweet. And I know you're concerned every time I start that way.
No, again, it's your show. It's your show.
It's
yours. It's yours. And y'all are doing a great job. So I am now the sole owner of all my work. I'm I've not taken the time to put it all up on Amazon. There may be some stuff up there. Check that first. Just if you order from my site, which I think may be the only place to get my books right now, if you do, don't order it if you're in a hurry, because the person subletting my place, I promised them that I would only send them the orders every 2 or 3 weeks. So it could be a month before you get it, by the time he gets to the post office with it. So it'll happen. You don't have to worry about whether or not you'll get it or not. It will definitely happen. I'm very organized, but it could be a while. So you might want to grab it somewhere else if it's available.
I know we have it on screen. For anybody that's listening to the podcast afterwards, can you just say where people can go to find more about if they want your merch, or I know you've got workshops and stuff coming up soon. If they want more information on things that can be happening, like where can people find you? Tell us a little bit about that.
So everything online is just at Buddy Wakefield. I have a new workshop that starts May 30th. It's on Sundays. It's called Now the Future Swung. And every week is going to be a different discourse. So you could pay just $150 to come to the whole workshop for all 4 weeks, for the whole month. Or if you just want to come to one of them, it's $50. So that's that. I'm really excited. It's the first time I'm laying it out this way, and I get to give basically, it says an hour and a half, but I usually spend 2 to 3 hours there making sure everybody gets
I was going to say, I've taken a Buddy Wakefield workshop. It's at least a 3-hour event.
But you don't have to stay for 3 hours. I just like to make sure everybody's questions get answered. If y'all are paying that much good money to come, I want to make sure you get what you need from me. So yeah, that's on. You can find that on the Work with Buddy drop-down menu on buddywakefield.com. All of it's at Buddy Wakefield or buddywakefield.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, I just want to say thank you again, Buddy. This was great. Thank you for sharing your words and your stories, and even the laughs too. I know I'm not in San Antonio, but I believe San Antonio is my heart, and I will say that San Antonio does appreciate you. And yeah, this was phenomenal and so healing.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And know that Shaggy is the one who invited me back for that second go round in good faith and good spirits, and it was from a kind place.
Shaggy's the kindest. We'll just say that. Yeah. Thank you for being with us, Buddy. This has been a phenomenal conversation. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. Y'all are doing great.
Thanks. Oh, Raquel.
Chibby.
Okay, I know we normally take a moment to just kind of like reflect on everything, and it just like all that happens every time it happens that I read Buddy's work or am in conversation with Buddy is this moment where I realize that and I'm sure he would also say he and all of us have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
We have a lot of work to do. And to just appreciate the process. Right? I don't know
why, but I'm like tearing up. Don't let me up. Wow.
Yeah.
I appreciate
all of that. Appreciate the process, because we are all in a process. This may be the AA in me talking, that is like, it's progress, not perfection. But it is about the process that we go through in this experiment we call life.
Yes.
Right. And I'm just constantly reminded of that anytime I'm in conversation with Buddy or anytime I read Buddy's work, that it's just like, it's all just a process. There's a final destination. It's called death. Right. But like the process, the journey is what makes it all worth it, to where when you get to the destination, it's like, all right.
It's been very inspirational to talk to him, and just his stories, and just the work and the process. It is important. But I'm like so happy, that he's getting the rest, right? And it's also a reminder to get that rest and to be enough, even if the process was brutal. And if it wasn't perfect, we still deserve to be enough.
Bitch, I know you on the East Coast. It's like 10 o'clock over there. Like I had a long night last night. You know, it's 3 o'clock where Buddy's at. Let's all get some rest.
Yes.
Let's thank some people and get the fuck out of here because this is our second to last show, y'all.
Yes! Oh my God, we're almost there. We're almost there.
All right, let's thank some people and get out of here.
Yes, I want to say thank you to the audience. Y'all have been so great. Thank you so much for staying with us for almost an hour and 15 minutes. This has been, we can't do this without you, really. So thank you for being here, and thank you for our production crew, Dominique, who is over here in the background switching up the scenes. Please. She keeps it down. And then Chris Conde, who does like our original music at the very beginning. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. And whether this is your first time or your umpteenth time joining us, please make sure that you do follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You know, we're trying to get the word out there. We're trying to like bring poets to the people. So you can follow us on AdWords and where on Instagram and Twitter. And that's just how you can find out about what's going on now. But of course, if this is your first time and you want to find out about all the episodes that happened before you joined us,
then you can definitely watch past episodes on our YouTube page, or you can find us on any of your podcasts where you can find any podcasts. You can watch and listen to previous episodes, even season 1, and as we're concluding season 2, definitely check those out. We had amazing poets.
Lord, amazing poets. And as we're talking about concluding season 2, next week is going to be our last week. I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to put on a suit. Okay, I'm gonna feel fancy, maybe a little makeup. I always have a little makeup, but maybe a little more. I don't know what's going to happen next week, but it's our last episode for the season. Then we're going to take a break before we come back. And I'm so excited that we're going to have one of the most amazing up-and-coming emerging artists in the poetry and spoken word scene. Metamorphosis is going to be joining us next week. So super excited for that. I hope you all join us live next Thursday, 7:30 Central Standard Time. Even if you can't join us live, catch it afterwards on our YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Until then,
no, I was going to say, and then maybe for our last episode, bring a bottle of champagne because we're going to be popping.
Whoa! Don't tempt me with a good time. Okay, where's that bottle? I know I got it somewhere. Okay. Until next week, y'all. Stay safe out there, please.
Thank you, y'all.